Hello everyone, welcome to my motion tracking tutorial in Sony Vegas. You can't create an automatic and perfect motion track in Vegas, however some of you may know that it can be done in After Effects. However, with some time, you can create smooth motion tracking with Vegas and be satisfied with your work. It does take a fair amount of time and effort to do, depending on how long it is, but as I said, it is very satisfying, and this video will teach you how to do that. So I'm going to try to keep it fairly short, and I will get on with it straight away then. So I'll open up Sony Vegas. In this case I'm using Movie Studio Platinum 12, which is a variant of Sony Vegas. It's just a cheaper one, which I have on a school license. Anyway, it has exactly the same features, and everything I do in this video you'll be able to do exactly the same in Sony Vegas. You should not notice a difference, so that does not matter. You can do this on either program. This should work on most versions, like if you have 11 or 13 or 10 or whatever, it should work. I cannot guarantee that, but I think it will. So anyway, I'm going to put in some just kind of stock video. I took this, it's not high quality video, it's just low lighting. Anyway, I'm going to put this in. So I'll put this here, and I don't need the audio for this, so I'm going to press Control U or on both of those, and that's one way you could delete that, or I can just delete this whole track, because for this I won't be needing voice, but I'll leave it there anyway. So I'm just going to make that smaller rather than deleting. You can still see it's there. Not sure why I would want to do that, but anyway, now what I want to do is just save this somewhere. So I'll save it into just a random folder like here for now. So motion track tutorial, something like that. So I recommend always saving your projects, obviously, when you're working on it. So now onto the actual tutorial. So we have our stock footage here. I don't need some of the start to this, so I'm going to cut that down, and this I'm going to cut down a bit. So now say this is just your video, your standard video that you're going to be using. And now I'm going to actually put something into motion track. So what I'm actually going to be motion tracking in this are a couple of things. I'm going to use these. So these are just for examples, pixel sunglasses and a tennis ball. So we want to put that on, obviously, onto whatever track you want. I'll put it on video overlay here. So the first thing you're going to do is open up track motion by pressing that button. If you've used this program before a bit, you're probably familiar with that, but what you may not be familiar with is how to do some more complex things with keyframing. It is simple though, still, so don't worry too much. So first thing you're going to want to do is create a keyframe there, and you'll see that come up down here. If you click this little button, expand track keyframes, you can bring this up, and now you see this keyframe. I'll close that down. Full size there. So I'm going to drag that along right to the start of these sunglasses, or whatever they are. So once that's there, if you want to use this track for multiple things and have them at different locations, then I recommend doing this, taking this first one, zooming in a lot, which you can do with the scroll wheel on a mouse. If you don't have that, you can use zoom in time or zoom out time on those, or you can just drag that, but then you'll have to go back here. So anyway, with the mouse I can just use the scroll wheel. I do not recommend using this program without a mouse. So now I'm just going to paste that there, or you could have just really double clicked in this situation to create one there. So now between here it won't do anything. So the first thing we're going to do is make this keyframe, which is a starting keyframe right there. We're going to make that smaller so it would actually fit. And then in this case I think I'm going to rotate it. You can do that by right clicking and flip horizontal. You can also tilt it like that, but I'm going to undo that because I don't want it at the moment. So I can just flip horizontal, and that should work. However, you notice that that didn't work, and it's because I did not have the keyframe selected. So I want to make sure I'm selecting that keyframe there, and then flip horizontal. And there we go. So for the first one, I want to move this out of the video so it comes in. So once that's out, you want to determine what frame rate and how many keyframes you're going to use. So for example, this project is 30 frames per second, or 29.97. So what I'm going to do to get a fairly smooth motion track, but also won't take extremely long, is one keyframe every 3 frames. So if it's 30 frames per second, you have 10 keyframes per second, so one every 3 frames. So what I'm doing here is zooming in, and then you want to find 3 frames along, which is here. So this is 3 frames along, you can see that. Now if you want to do this, you can do that once every one. It's completely up to you. You can do that 3 keyframes per second, but this is what I'll be doing for this to get a nice smooth motion track and show you how I would do most of my motion tracking. So then I'm going to double click on that and go here, and we have the time selected, so any updates I make on there will be visible on the preview, as you see. So for this first bit, I'm actually going to move this along further, and the reason for that is I want the glasses to come down first. So if I play that, you see they come down. I want them a bit faster, quite a bit faster, so I'll put it there. That's about right. So the first one, do whatever you like with that. So I shall now select this and put them on the first position. I recommend zooming in, because that way it's easier to tilt more precisely or move it around more precisely the further you're zoomed in. So I would recommend doing that first. So once I have that on there, I'm going to go ahead another 3 frames and create another keyframe, and then over here I'm going to select this keyframe, and now I'm going to move these glasses to follow my eyes where they were. So 3 more, and you can see my eye is visible there. It comes out again, so I'm going to move it down to cover that up. And now I'll make another one, and that's roughly in the same position anyway. So now I'll speed this up until I get to something where I'm moving more and show you how that is done. It's the same process, but I'll continue to make sure you know what you're doing. So you can see now I've started moving more, and between each 3 keyframes, between one keyframe I mean, so between every 3 frames, which is 1/10 of a second in this, if you're doing it in 60 frames per second, you want to do one every 6 frames to get the same 10 keyframes every second. So you can see it's moving a lot more. So if I move along another 3 frames, there you go, it's moved a lot. Also, if you want to check how many frames you are, if you're not sure if that's 3, you can press the arrows to go by frame, as long as you're zoomed in a certain amount. If you see this down here, that is the position it's at. So if that number at the end moves by 1 frame, then you're zoomed in enough. If you're not totally clear on that, then just let me know and I'll explain it further. Anyway, if I press the left arrow 3 times, you can see it's gone over that one, so that is 3 frames between there. That's 8:14, that's 8:17, so that is how you make sure. So now I'm just going to go over here and grab this and move the glasses there. Put another one down. Whoops. I clicked back on this one, on the front one. So make sure when you're doing it, you're editing the right keyframe, which is this one in this case. So move that over there. If I want to make these any different like that, I can do so. And the reason that you can create a keyframe through here, just like that, but the reason I don't do that is over here you want to make sure this is selecting this position, because otherwise you won't see it on the preview. So if I'm looking at this one now and the preview is set to there, I'm moving it around, but you can't see that unless I go that frame. So that's why you want to make them on there, because then it's also selecting them at the same time, so it makes the whole thing a lot easier. Also, if you have something enlarging or whatever and you want to make them bigger, then you can just do that. So now they become bigger. Pretty simple. So you just drag the corner bits. So I pressed undo there and it's taken me off the frame totally, so I want to make sure I'm back on that and check that that one's good. Okay, So zoom back in and put them there. So at the moment I think you've seen enough of me talking about this, so I'll have a speed up here of this whole process, and if you wish to skip to the next bit where I just continue but with the tennis ball for more examples, then just click on the screen on the little button to skip to it at any point during the time lapse. Okay, so as you can see, I'm nearly done here. Alright, so the glasses are off the screen. That is very good. So this process, you can see how many keyframes are there. There is a lot of them. So make sure along the way you don't accidentally have 2 keyframes selected or something like that when you edit them, or otherwise you could be editing 2 at once and then it won't be as smooth, or there'll be one that goes somewhere else randomly. So you want to make sure of that. But if you do have a problem with it, then it is very easy to fix, because when you are watching it back, you'll be able to pause it at that keyframe and then find which keyframe is causing the problem and very easily fix it. If I was doing this properly, this bit here I would have done a lot more on, make it sideways or whatever, edited the photo, or if you're using Sony Vegas you can do it another way, but I won't be teaching that in this tutorial. So this is a basic motion tracking tutorial, and this is what it looks like. So let me just cut off the end. Alright, so this is what the final product looks like. I'll put a link to what it looks like actually rendered in full quality in the description if you want to watch that. So yeah, for the amount of time I spent on it, that is pretty decent. It didn't actually take that long. It is a smaller clip, but and I did it quite quickly. And obviously, I'm not going to say this will not take much time, but really that wasn't too bad. So the next clip I'll do is the hand one, and my hand looks quite red in that because I just hit it on something for a certain reason, so it looks quite red in that. So anyway, that's why. So for this one, I'm going to put the tennis ball over. Alright, so I want to drag out that then. And now because this ends here, or over here, and we don't want this tennis ball to be off here, I'm going to put another keyframe down there, and this is going to be where this one starts. So for this one, this starting keyframe is, I'm just going to reset this restore box, right click restore box, and now it is full size right in the middle of the screen, as you can see. So the ball pops up right there along with this. So now I want to make that a lot smaller, and I'm going to go along to here and find about there, okay, and just put the tennis ball on it, not actually tracking it yet, but just put it on to get an idea of the size. So obviously this is very basic, I'm not actually trying to make it look like I'm holding the tennis ball really, but it's just going to be following my hand, just as an example. So it'll be right about there. Yep, that's a good size. So if we go back here, it's that size. So now my hand is down there. That is the one I'll be tracking it to. So we're going to want to move this tennis ball down to where my hand is right now, roughly. So it'll be right about there. And now I will do another keyframe. Same thing, I'm going to do every three keyframes, sorry, once every 3 frames. So that means it will be 10 keyframes per second on a 30 frame per second project. So now my hand isn't up yet, so I'm going to put the ball there, and then the ball's still out, so it doesn't really matter where it is yet. And the only reason it would matter is the speed at which it comes in. If you don't understand what that means, don't worry about it too much. It won't matter for most things, but in this case I don't think it'll matter. Anyway, the next one, I'm just going to have a track to my hand there. So I'll move that into my hand right there. Place my marker there. Put it there. And so on. So now you already know what to do. I will do a speed up again of this. So I'll see you when it's done and show you what it looks like. Alright, you can see it is now complete. Got all these lovely keyframes there. I just put that as a gap of 2 right at the end. I could put it over there. Doesn't matter too much. It will affect it slightly, but that's up to you. So anyway, we have all these. Now let's watch what the tennis ball looks like. So you can see it very smoothly follows my hand. So for every second there is 10 keyframes. Every 3 frames there is a keyframe which moves the ball to track my hand. So if you get it accurate, then it will look really nice. So that's about it for the tutorial. Yeah, as I said, if you want to see these properly rendered, then you can see that in the video description. There will be links to those. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like. If you have any questions about this particular thing, then please do ask. That is no problem.